Welcome to the Minute of Strength. Today I want to answer a few questions that we've been getting in via email about the Bulldog kettlebells. We sent an email out this week about how it's made in the United States and the manufacturing process and the decisions that we made to make it here, right here in Rhode Island. But I wanted to explain a little further about the design. We get a lot of questions on the handle, the shape of the handle and the way it is designed. The original kettlebell, going back a couple of hundred years, the old kettlebells the strongmen used to use look very similar to this. So that when it was filled, it would be filled up to almost 200, even a little over 200 pounds. So it would be a massive sphere like this. Small handle like you see here. The handle was straight. With the original one was a piece of wood. And it looked like it was connected by a horseshoe. So like a horseshoe-shaped piece of metal would be attached to the top of the bell, and then would have a piece of wood in the center. You've heard me say this before. When you put two hands on a bell and you go to swing it, it's not by poor design that every single kettlebell manufacturer makes the bell wrong. That's not the case. The kettlebell is only made for one hand. So when I designed the handle, I wanted to go back to the very beginning of why a kettlebell was designed in the first place, and the reason for creating some of the movements was always supposed to be done with one hand, never two. Two-handed swings are fantastic for teaching purposes, but it's used as a progression to get to this point. And you can see how my hand fits on that bell perfectly. A lot of people will say that, well, gee, what about snatches? What about high repetition work? I've tried it, I've tested it, it works just fine. I've done hundreds of snatches with a 50, 60 pound kettlebell, this one here loaded up, and it works great. I have no fatigue in my hands, I don't rip my calluses open. The handle is very, very smooth. If it gets slippery, no different than any other bell. Work your grip, just work on your grip. It's supposed to be difficult to hold on to. There's no perfect handle that makes it easy to do snatches or high rep work, okay? This is the way it was supposed to be designed. When you have the bell loaded, a standard size bell right here, when you have this loaded with steel shot, you can get it to about 48 pounds. You still fill it with lead, you can go to 60, 62 pounds, depending on there's a lot of variables here depending on the size shot you're using and what manufacturer you get it from. A 50 pound or a 48 pound Bulldog feels a heck of a lot heavier than a 50 pound standard kettlebell because there's no weight in the handle. So when you see that difference when you're using it, guys, if you're using a 44 pound kettlebell right now, if you fill this to 44 pounds, it might feel a lot heavier. It might feel more like a 53 pound bell just because of the way it's loaded. All right, so you'll see the differences yourselves. We're just now coming out with a smaller bell, loaded with steel shot. It gets up to about 22 pounds. It starts out at 6. Fantastic for travel, fantastic for ladies that aren't looking to really progress any further than this. And again, you can see the size of this in comparison. All right, still the same size handle, different size bell, loads from 6 pounds to 22 pounds. This loads up to about 48 to 62 pounds. And then this monster right here, we're not really sure if we'll be selling this one, but this is becoming my new baby right here. Half loaded, it's already 108 pounds. If any of you guys are interested in this, let me know. Maybe we can manufacture them for you special. So that's the idea of the design. That's where it came from. You'll try these things out. You'll never use another kettlebell again. Give it a shot.